may have had. Because if David had been cut off, son of David, seed of Abraham, God wasn't going to let that happen. Your destiny. You will fulfill your destiny. You will get to your destination. You must trust God and believe Him for that on today. Says, then Saul, how in the world you gonna take 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel? This really struck me right here, people. How can someone, you supposed to be on the same side, same ministry. When people find out certain facts, that's why they ease off. They said, Have you ever heard the term, I can do bad by myself? That's why they ease off. That's why they move away. That's why they get within themselves. Because they know certain things. And they say, no, not I. My ministry will not be destroyed. I will not be cut off. I'd rather just cut some things off. And I'd rather just kneel on my knees and I will pray in my own personal closet. That I may be rewarded openly. And he said, I got to read the second verse of the 24th chapter of 1 Samuel again. It says, then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepcotes by the way where was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet. And David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men, they remained where? In the sides of the cave, the same cave that Saul had went into to cover his feet. And the men of David said unto him, behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. He cut off the skirt of Saul's robe, letting him know, I can kill you right now, but I'm not going to kill you. You must show mercy, that mercy may be shown unto you. You must forgive, that you may be what? Forgiven. You must not hold a grudge against the people. See, David had to go from the palace, did he not? He stood as much as he could. He stayed as long as he could. Then he had to flee. He had to go. He had to run. He had to hide because the pressure got a little bit too hard up in there. He was pressed down and pressed against the wall, too heavy, to where he knew my life is in jeopardy. My destiny is in jeopardy. My ministry is in jeopardy. My life is in jeopardy. I got to flee from this palace, because if I don't, I won't live. I'll die. In some situations in your life, if you don't leave it alone, you're gonna what? Die. What? A spiritual death. You have to get away from that thing. And spend some time with God. Let Him direct your path. Put all your trust in God. None of your trust in man. Because man, he will betray you and show you he don't care. Saul showed David he didn't care. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him. See, he cut him off in his heart. Out of the heart flows the issues of life. You got to guard your heart. Because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth mine hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. David also arose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, my Lord, the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the ground, to the earth, and bowed himself, still honoring the very same one that wanted to take his life, the very same one that threw the javelin at him, the very same one that said, what? Bring him up to me in the bed so that I may kill him. He bowed himself to the earth, face to the earth, all the way down, and bowed himself, honoring him, coming to him in what? In all humility. No puffed up haughtiness here. David kneeled before his what? His enemy. How do you do that? I don't know if I could. I'm not going to lie to you on this Sunday morning. I have to go, God, but you can be humble in other words besides, in other words, you can be humble in other ways besides kneeling before a person. You can be humble in the fact that you don't take their name and spread their name even though you know much about them. Even though you've seen what they've gone through, you know what they do. You have seen what their circumstances, what they're going through behind the scenes. Yet and still, you do not take their business out and spread it abroad. You see their nature. You understand that they are puffed up and haughty and that they only care about themselves. But you don't spread that. Instead, you keep your mouth closed. You humble yourself in the presence of God. And you do what? You allow God to fight the battle for you. You don't seek vengeance against anyone. And in due season, in due time, God will elevate you, move you forward and tell you, hey, it's time to go forward now. You can do it now. Especially if you're in a leadership position. That's David. David represents those in leadership positions, those who have been called, those who have been chosen for certain things to do for God. Specifically anointed by God to do a certain thing in a certain season. You can't move ahead of God. You got to move at his command. David did not move ahead of God. David moved the way God wanted him to move. He asked God, what should I do? Should I pursue? What should I do, oh God? You direct me. And that's what we as leaders must do. We as the people of God must do. Ask God, which way do you want me to go today? How do you want me to say this thing today? How do you want me to move today? Because tomorrow is not promised to anyone. What do you want me to do today? And if you live to see tomorrow, thank God for it. And then say, Lord, you able me to live to see another day, to breathe the breath of life you breathe the breath of life into my body. I'm able to breathe right now. Oh, I got the activities of my limbs. Lord God, what do you want me to do in this day? Saying, David said to Saul, wherefore hearest, this is the 9th verse. And David said to Saul, wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord had delivered thee today into mine hand in the cave. And some bade me kill thee, but mine eye spared thee, And I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Moreover, my father, ye see the skirt of thy, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe. See, did David know that God had left Saul? That's something to think about. David only knew that he had been anointed by Samuel. Did he know that the Spirit of God, that God had left Saul? The only thing he knew was that he had some discomfort, that he had something that troubled him, an evil spirit. Something troubled him, and every time he played the harp, that evil spirit went away from him. David probably didn't even know that God had left Saul. God's spirit had left Saul. The only thing that he knew was the fact that David knew that Saul was the anointed of God, that he was what? Still king. Still ruling in that position. Did he know that God had left Saul? I really don't think so. The only thing he knew that he was troubled. Ooh, he couldn't rest. And every time he played that harp, he could rest then. Moreover, my father, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand, for in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe and kill thee not. Know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression in mine heart, in mine hand. And I have not sinned against thee, yet thou huntest my soul to take it. The Lord judge between me and thee, and the Lord avenge me of thee, but mine hand shall not be upon thee. He said, the Lord. What did he say? The Lord judge between me and thee. See, it sounds like something that Moses told to the group of people that was coming against him. Said, let God be the judge. Who be his true anointed now? Who be anointed? Let God be the judge. Even when they came against Aaron, remember the budding of his rod? How could God choose someone like Aaron? He brought their rods, and Aaron was the one rod that budded, because God had chose him to go with who? Moses. When God chooses someone, you can't unchoose him. The only one who can unchoose him is God. Why? Because he didn't unchoose Aaron to be high priest. His rod budded. And Aaron was the one who did what? Made the golden calf for the people. And they did idol worship before the golden calf. Oh, it just came out the fire. Oh, I was afraid of the people. Aaron said himself that he was fearful of the people, right? He was afraid of the people. He went ahead and he molded the golden calf and all that when they was coming out of Egypt. God didn't destroy Aaron. He didn't destroy Aaron. He didn't tell him you're not going to be the high priest to give atonement for the sins of the people. He didn't tell him that. Because God chose him to go with Moses. You can't unchoose what God has chosen. Though you may look at it and say, people may look at him or her or whatever situation and circumstance they're in, they could be behind in some stuff. God couldn't have chose them. Look what they going through. Don't let your circumstances fool the folk. Don't let your circumstances fool you. What God has chosen, no man can unchoose, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what you're behind in, regardless. Who God chooses, no man can unchoose. And you will fulfill your destiny. You will get to your destination. Keep pressing on. Keep pressing forward. And know that if God be for you, who can be against you? I like the 12th verse. Because if I haven't done you no wrong, If I could have destroyed you, but I didn't. If I could have taken your beard